1947, just outside of Durham, North Carolina. Birdsong rings out amongst oak trunks, soon to have bullets lodged into them by the military trainees whose so-called patriotism ran the Afro-Yesa out of their home of Red Mountain. Refugees in their own land, they were forced to start anew beneath the planting moon and devise a plan for survival to keep their little ones alive long enough to celebrate a new day sucking on sweet red strawberries. Among them was the Daye family, as the bright sun rose on their tired bodies, removed from sacred soil, like yellow Kente cloth, scattered with sapphire morning glories, which shrink and shrug their shoulders in lament, in their loss, in their grief, before lifting their heads to the vision of sunrise, remembering that despite dry or rich soil, they too will rise. 1860, just outside of Africatown, Alabama. Turtles, beavers, and other aquatic relatives settling into the heat of July. Hear the cries and groans of relatives far from their home. Citizens of the kingdom of Dahomey, present-day Togo, Benin, are ripped from the cramped, filthy hold of the Clotilda, the last ship kidnapping West Africans into enslavement on Turtle Island, named after our relative who took us upon their back so that we would survive and not drown. He now weeps for those shoved from ships, devoured by tooth and sea. His heart breaks for human relatives who were named after a man called Smalls who proclaimed himself their master because that was the size of his heart. Little did he know that the fish and the turtles and the beavers and the cranes and the muskrats offered green corn kernels and many other seeds of democracy to plant beneath the red-hot moon which burned brightly for the blood of their ancestors, dabbled with drops of sunlit water, sparkling like the yellow treasure of Dahomey, which has been and always will be its people, so that the three made a steam to germinate, the strong green vines of resilience, the yellow centers of brilliance, surrounded by maroon petals of resistance. 1854 in what is now called Los Angeles County, California. South of cedars with wind-swept boughs lives the dark story of an ancient abode. The gathering of the waters, it was once called widely and still by the original people. Now the thunder beings weep over their children's woe. There were just 2 white men amongst a majority of black and brown faces in 1781. Yet soon, hunters came for indigenous scalps and heads, and many black bodies were hung. We still see their faces and their great-great-great-great-grandchildren who still live beneath the sun. Many overcome by police brutality and poverty, as if there was not once one Afro-Indigenous woman named Maria Rita Valdez, who, after the Spanish decimated the Tongva, became the caretaker and owner of what is now called Beverly Hills. The rains now gather, like tears fall upon the bosom of the land. Black clouds become illuminated by lightning, which shines like sapphires over snapdragons, stretching their tubular red flowers toward the sky, recalling the fate of the people, honoring the memory of the ancestors as their spirits ascend to form condensation, which one day will water the ground. 1851 in present-day Chicago, Illinois. Beneath the dreamer's moon, betwixt tall pines which wolves weave within. Huddled against the chill, the elders gather around the fire to tell the hushed news that the seed of the root of resistance will soon be born into her human skin and come to their aid in Jagogyonak, where many brilliant Potawatomi and Anishinaabe minds were chopped at the hands of colonization. Like English ivy chokes maples, like beetle borers devour ash trees, where Black refugees reeled from post-traumatic slave syndrome. Lucy Gonzales Parsons, West African, Mexican, and Native American, was on Juneteenth, 1865, alas emancipated from the horrors of Virginian and Texan slavery. She found sanctuary in the place of wild onions along the 5 great sea-like lakes. One action, one strike, one speech at a time, like the threads of her seamstressing. She wove together each line and created a patchwork of resistance. From the Haymarket Square riots to mass executions to being arrested at 62 years old for her convictions, Lucy now sits among other ancestors, all bathed in white light, all adorned with smiles, surrounded by white lilies and palm fronds.